Gout Gout, 18 years old, Australian. He just ran a 200-meter time no teenager in history has ever legally beaten, not even Usain Bolt. And when Bolt watched the footage, he said something the athletics world has never heard him say about any sprinter. So, what did he say? Let's find out. Gout Gout was born on December 29, 2007 in Ipswich, Queensland. His parents, Bona and Monica, are from South Sudan. They fled the country, spent years in Egypt, and arrived in Australia in 2005, 2 years before Gout was born. His name rhymes with pout, a misspelling that happened when the family's name was transliterated from Arabic. His father has spoken about wanting to correct it one day. For now, it is the name the athletics world is learning to say. But here is the detail that silences a room. At age 15, Usain Bolt ran 21.73 seconds in the 200 meters. At age 15, Gout Gout ran 21.14 seconds. Gout was already faster. At 16, Bolt improved to 20.58. Gout improved to 20.87. At 17, Bolt ran 20.13. Gout ran 20.04. At 18, Bolt posted his teenage best, 19.93 seconds. Gout just ran 19.67. At every single comparable age, Gout Gout's 200-meter times have sat ahead of where Bolt stood on the same timeline. +1. That is not hype. That is a direct, age-for-age comparison against the man who holds the 200-meter world record of 19.19 seconds, a record that has stood since 2009. The numbers place Gout not just in Bolt's shadow, but ahead of it at the equivalent point in his career. No Australian sprinter has ever been in this conversation before. No teenager in the modern era has made it this far, this fast. On April 12, 2026, Gout Gout walked onto the track at Sydney Olympic Park Athletics Centre for the men's 200-meter final at the Australian Athletics Championships. He had written one number in his notes all week, 19.75 seconds. He repeated it to himself every morning. That was the target. That was the goal. 22-year-old Aidan Murphy refused to give him an easy ride. Murphy pushed stride for stride through the curve and refused to fade down the straight. He forced Gout to find a gear that had never been found legally before. When Gout found it, the result was the fastest legal 200-meter run ever recorded by any teenager in history, 19.67 seconds, a wind reading of +1.7 meters per second, comfortably within legal limits. Murphy crossed the line in 19.88 seconds, 2 Australians below 20 seconds in the same race, a result the sport had never seen before. Gout's time placed him 16th on the senior all-time list at any age. Only 15 human beings have ever run the 200 meters faster. His time would have won gold at the Sydney 2000 Olympics and taken bronze at the Paris 2024 Games ahead of Noah Lyles. +3. There's a big weight off my shoulders knowing I ran it legally, Gout said afterward. I have the speed in my body to run times like that. So it definitely feels great, and I'm ready for more. 8 days after that performance, Usain Bolt sat down with CNN Sports in Geneva, Switzerland, at a watchmaking event called Watches and Wonders. He had seen the footage. He had seen the times. The man who dominated global sprinting for over a decade and retired in 2017 had something to say about the teenager from Queensland. He looks like young me, Bolt told CNN. 5 words. From the man who set 3 world records in a single Olympics in Beijing in 2008. From the man whose 19.19 in the 2 to 100 meters stands as the fastest in recorded history. From the 8-time Olympic gold medalist who shaped what it meant to be a sprinter for an entire generation, he looked at an 18-year-old from Ipswich and saw himself. The comparison goes beyond the times. Both are 200-meter specialists who found their identity in that curve. Both announced themselves to the world with dominant junior performances before stepping onto the senior circuit. Both carry a physical presence on the track that athletes describe as unusual, something that goes beyond times and wind readings. Bolt's recognition was not casual. He was a 17-year-old boy once who broke a world junior record and felt the weight of a sport's expectations land on him overnight. He knows exactly what that is like. He has sat across from reporters asking about the next generation for years. He has given polite answers. He chose his words carefully about Gout Gout, and the words he chose were, young me. Letsile Tebogo, the reigning Olympic 200-meter champion from Botswana, has also weighed in. Tebogo has said publicly that Gout has the potential to be one of the greatest athletes in history. When the current Olympic champion and the greatest sprinter ever both point at the same teenager and say what they have said, the sport pays attention. But Bolt did not stop at the compliment. He immediately followed it with something more serious, something that came from experience. He told CNN that at his age, when success starts coming fast, the distractions arrive just as fast. The attention, the requests, the noise. He described how a young athlete can lose focus on the one thing that made them great in the first place. At that young age, because I was there, you start getting pulled left and right, and then you forget track and field, Bolt said. Hopefully, he has the right set of people who actually help to guide him and to keep him focused on track and field, because the rest of the stuff will always be there. But if you mess up at track and field, then it all goes away. He also offered a reality check about the transition from national dominance to the senior global circuit. Bolt recalled leaving high school and feeling unbeatable, then stepping onto the circuit and not winning a single race. The jump is enormous. The athletes are faster, more experienced, and harder to shake. Gout has never faced that level. He has beaten everyone in Australia. He has not yet stood on a Diamond League start line and heard the gunfire. +1. I know it's going to be an eye-opener. Bolt said, and I hope it doesn't get him down but motivate him to work even harder. I think in the first year you will learn a lot and understand what you need to do to be better. This is not a dismissal. This is a roadmap from someone who walked the exact same road. Bolt wants Gout to succeed. He just knows what is coming. On June 10, 2026, Gout Gout will race his first Diamond League event at Bislett Stadion in Oslo, Norway. He will not be eased into the senior circuit with a gentle field. He is walking directly into a 200-meter showdown against Letsail Tobogo, the reigning Olympic champion. No warm-up race, no soft introduction, straight to the highest level in the sport. The race is already one of the most anticipated matchups of the athletic year. Two generations of speed colliding on one of the most famous tracks in European athletics, in front of the crowd that has watched more world records fall than almost any venue on the planet. +1. Tobogo's personal best is 19.46 seconds. The gap between 19.46 and 19.67 is real. But Bolt's message was not that Gout would lose in Oslo. His message was that the gap gets closed through experience, not through talent alone. Gout has the talent. Oslo is where the education begins. Gout Gout is focused on the World Under-20 Championships in Oregon this August. He skipped the Commonwealth Games to prepare. This follows the path of Usain Bolt, who used a junior title in 2002 to launch his career. +1. Gout is 18. While Bolt's records are legendary, Gout's age-for-age times are currently faster. Bolt watched Gout's recent race and said, "He looks like young me. No other sprinter has earned that specific praise." +1. Gout wrote a 19.75-second goal in his notes, but ran 19.67 instead. He is still writing new numbers. In 2032, Brisbane will host the Olympics. Gout will be 24, the peak age for a sprinter. He grew up just 40 kilometers from the host city. Every race until then is preparation. Oslo in June, Oregon in August, and Los Angeles in 2028 are all steps toward home. The comparison to Bolt is happening because the data is real. Gout plans to run for 15 more years. He knows where he stands on the timeline, and so does Bolt. The clock is running.